Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I'm sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, also known as the Black Yule Brenner. I should say that the purpose of the Demetra K show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. Like I said, big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Also, thank you to my wonderful moderators for all that you do in holding down the comment section. I could not and would not do it without you. Today, we're going to be talking about, and Donovan feels like it's going to be a very short conversation, and he might be right. We'll see. But Americans are being told to shut the country down over possible midterm election delays and interferences by the Trump administration. So we're going to have maybe a short, conversation about it. But of course, you guys know that we usually venture off into other things. There's nothing wrong with that. But in the meantime, Donovan, how are you today?
Well, the rain has stopped. It reminds me of that song by the Eurythmics? Here Comes the Rain Again. It's finally stopped. Hopefully everything will start drying out. We might have some showers here and there, but be prepared. You guys, where you're at, Demetra, you'll be getting the rain soon enough. Hey, you guys, welcome to the show. Look at the scrolling banner at the bottom. If you guys want to keep these great conversations going, there's ways you can do it. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Cash, Money Order, however you guys want to do it. Every little bit that you guys contribute helps to keep this channel going, and it helps to have these great conversations that we're having that is making a difference, as you guys are seeing out in the blogosphere and the internet and all that other great stuff. We could not do this show without our co-hosts. And who are our co-hosts? It is you guys out there, because we learn just as much from you as hopefully you guys will learn something from us. I taught this woman next to me everything she knows. So if you guys are impressed with her, her presence, it took years. It took years. And the funny things, Demetra, I was looking at some of our old videos that are still up. If you guys want to see Demetra and I when we first started, those videos are still up. Please go and check them out. Go to Demetra's YouTube page, come to my YouTube page, and you'll see these old videos of us in raw form, side by side, doing this exact show over 8 years ago. So something to look into. Also, do us a favor. Don't forget to download the African Diaspora News Channel app. You can get it on Google Play, Apple Store. You can see great videos in addition to the Emancipation Channel and original content within the app. That's on Google Play, Apple Store. You get videos from Philip Scott, Demetra K, Wongel, Vicki Dillard, and a whole host of other contributors that come into the app, and it's totally Black owned. So if you want to know what's going on in the African diaspora, that's one way you can do it. Want to say hello to the antithesis in Valdosta, Georgia. Be1 to you. King Noble, good to see you. William Vogel, good to see you. Renz or 50W, greetings. And everybody else that has just tuned in, it is good to see you guys. Mike Nice, Renzo, Mike Nice again, Troy Scott, one who cares, longtime listener and supporter. We appreciate all of you guys. So Demetra, let's get into this conversation. This Tia Mowry, I believe she was affiliated with Black Lives Matter or something, and made a bag, and we haven't seen her since. And isn't it funny? We're getting into political season, and all of the political trolls have to go make their money. They got their check. Now the master's telling them, go and send the message and mislead the people. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. And yes, indeed. So hello to everybody once again. All right. So of course, there's a lot going on. And when I mean a lot, there's a lot. It's like, try to pick something to talk about. So I decided this. I think this was what was easy for me on my brain today. But I saw this post not too long ago from Tamika Mowry. Of course, she was part of the women's movement. And most notably, she was a part of, I think it was a 2017, and you guys will see her post in just a second, 2017, major worldwide march that was led by the women's movement. Of course, when Trump was in office the first time, people didn't like what he was doing then, just like they don't like what he's doing now. And she's also, I don't know if she's been affiliated with Black Lives Matter. I don't think that she was, but, in the same vein per se. You guys have seen her around a lot. So I'll put this post up. And this is what she said. She said, let me move this really quick. She says, we organized the largest mass mobilization in U.S. history in 2017. Now it's time for world history. Now, everyone won't do it. Yes, there are enough of us to cripple the systems. Says it's okay to be nervous and skeptical. Get prepared anyway. We are already in cold red situation. The midterms are already being undermined. We don't have a choice. Now, she also goes on to say, if there is any attempt to delay, cancel, or undermine the midterm elections, we must respond collectively by walking out of our jobs, our schools, and our homes and shutting the nation down. If it were up to me, we would have done so already. Get ready for the largest mass mobilization in Donovan, I can't stand you. World history. So again, that is Tamika Mallory. You guys see her picture. I know it's small, but you guys have seen her before. And I think it's fair to say at this point that she is, I think she's a Democrat, right? I think we can associate her with the Democratic Party and all of that. Now, of course, you know, some may be wondering, well, how are they going to undermine the elections midterm? Of course, you know, this year, have to remember that it is 2026, a new year, that the midterms are coming up in November. How is that possible? Well, there's a lot of people who are saying, well, the Trump administration could put pressures on state elections. Case in point was that of Texas, right? I remember last year when Donald Trump, his administration reached out to Greg Abbott of Texas and said, hey, we need y'all to take 5 seats from the Democrats, redistricting, right, the congressional map. And they voted to do that and all of that. And then, of course, the repercussions to that in part was from California, where Gavin Newsom, the governor, put it up on the ballot and let the people decide whether they want to take 5 congressional seats from the Republicans. And that passed and everything like that. So that's just one way. Of course, a lot of people are thinking about what happened in 2020, where Trump lost. He said he didn't want to concede, if you will. And there was a little insurrection and all that going on. It was alleged that he tried to pressure Georgia, right, to find some extra votes and things like that. He got in a lot of trouble. A lot of those lawsuits have been dropped or, you know, kind of in limbo because he is the president now. And so there is some concerns. Of course, there's a lot of misinformation out there basically saying that he's going to do it. Now, of course, we've heard people like Steve Bannon, who was in the White House last term. I don't think he is now, but he's very outspoken, especially in regards to Trump having a 3rd term, right? He's like, oh, yeah, he needs to run again. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that he needs to do. He's not done yet. So, of course, people are freaking out about that. And then the other thing, too, is I think we've kind of seen the Trump administration do what they want, right? Who's going to check them? From even, you know, taking oil tankers and now running a whole nother country saying, hey, we're so, you know, then there's a lot of back and forth from the Democrats basically saying what he did was illegal, especially with Venezuela, that he did not get congressional support. But of course, the Trump administration said, well, we didn't want to tell anybody because we didn't want things to leak. And then Venezuela, you know, and Maduro and them find out that we was going to be kicking this back door in. So, yes, there's a lot of fears. And I guess Tamika Mallory, she's taking it seriously. And so, again, she is saying that we should walk out of our jobs and schools and things like that. But I just wonder what's the net benefit for us right now. Of course, you guys know, and I can't speak for Donovan, but I think he would agree that, you know, while a lot of people may be iffy on the national election, you definitely should vote on the state and local elections because that's where they have the most impact on your life directly, right? Whether it's the mayors, the sheriffs, the DAs, the judges, the governors, you name it, right? City council, those people have a direct effect on your life. And so she's saying, hey, we should, you know, in case there's some, I guess, monkey business, if you will, go on, we should disrupt businesses and things like that. Now, of course, I feel like there's other ways to do it, but I want to see what Donovan has to say about this. I already know what he's going to say, but I'll let him tell you. Yeah, Donovan, take it away.
Well, our education system is there's a good reason why America is almost at the damn bottom of the list when it comes to education of a technological advanced country.
Almost.
Well, however you want to see it. I'm trying to get, you know, I'm proud to be an American. So I'm going to give the thing the benefit of the doubt. Once again, we have these people that are paid shills that are going out Because like I said, isn't it funny how you only hear from certain people like this, the Steve Harveys, the Magic Johnsons? These people come out every special election or whatever, and then you won't hear from them again. D.L. Hughley, you haven't heard from D.L. Hughley since Kamala lost. No apology, well, I was wrong, or this, that, this, or another. So before I get into that, I want to address the Donald Trump thing, right? If people have a problem, to me, it's kind of crazy how people are upset at Donald Trump for what he did, if you believe it's legal or not. Shouldn't you be mad at the people that are supposed to check him and do their job? If they're doing their job, he would not have been able to do what he did. So let's get the direction correct. I mean, it's amazing how people direct their anger at Donald Trump, and rightly so. But what about the people that are supposed to be the check and balances of the executive branch? Why aren't they doing their job? Why aren't you holding them accountable? You didn't even vote for Donald Trump, but you're holding him accountable for what he's doing. You voted for these other people that aren't even doing their damn jobs. So anyway, I digress to that. I got a question for you guys, and this is why I brought up the educational system in the United States. Why is it that they do not really teach us our basic fundamental rights here in the United States? I have a question. And see, this is why Tia Mowry and these people, they count on the uneducated and the ignorant just to go with the soundbite and go with it. How can the executive branch stop the midterms? Demetria, the last time I checked, according to the Constitution, every state holds their own elections, of course, in the cycle, but the federal government has no control over state elections, local elections. This is why these things happen. You know, you have your directly elected senators, you have your directly elected council members, right? Things that we can do directly. Congressmen. How? See, all this fear mongering. See, this is what you guys gotta read through all of this stuff. The federal government has no control over local elections. That is why Fani Willis is in the problems that she's in. Because under the statute of her county, she had every right to pursue Donald Trump election tampering. Right? The federal government was tampering, right? Her problem was she kept meeting up with the Joe Biden and Kamala in the White House, and you know, it kind of messed it up, right? So she dropped the ball. But please, I'm just going to say that this is why this is such a short conversation. The federal government has no jurisdiction over individual states and how they run elections, and that's according to the Constitution. So once again, the fear mongering of Black people continues, and of course, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, the baby boomers don't give a damn. They're going to be starch Democrats no matter what, and they're going to try to tell the young people, you got to be Democrat. If Donald Trump go do this to us, Master go. If Donald Trump, oh, we got to be Donald Trump. Master going to do. According to the Constitution, every state runs their own elections, and there is no way in any amount of ability can he stop the midterm elections from happening.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Let's play a little bit of a devil's advocate here. So maybe he can't stop the midterms, right? Can't like just say we're not going to have them, right? Because you're right, it's not really up to him. But can he influence it? And has he already done that to some degree? Because what was the point of him telling Greg Abbott in Texas, you know, to take some seats from the Democrats? So is there a way that they could, you know, I guess throw a monkey wrench in it?
Well, that's a good question. Now, what happened with Greg Abbott and whatever had nothing to do with the midterms. That had to do with congressional seating and changing the congressional seats. The midterms hasn't happened yet because remember, the midterms, you got to vote those seats in. So does the president, Democrat or Republican, have an influence on any midterm elections? Of course he does. Did Obama have a effect on his first midterms? Of course, he got blown out his first midterm coming into it. But the point is, does the president have influence on midterms elections. Sure, if you're super MAGA, you're gonna go out and do what you got to do, right? But if you're not, the president does have influence. The rigging of the seats. But Demetria, I'm glad you brought that up about Greg Abbott. Do you realize gerrymandering of seats by race was an old Democratic construct that's been going on for years and years and years, and that's how they've been maintained? Good example, Jimbo Clyburn in South Carolina. He is the only Democrat in the South Carolina delegation, and yet if you look at his district, it doesn't make sense how it's drawn, but it's drawn on racial lines. So how do we complain about Donald Trump moving 5 seats or whatever, whatever he suggested they do? Well, all I'm saying is it's politics, no matter how you look at it, Democratic or Republican, they both engage in it. And I would say the Democrats do it more so on racial lines, which the Supreme Court recently said is unconstitutional. You cannot gerrymander seats based on racial lines. That's how these politicians end up staying in their office. A good example, your girl Maxine Waters, we haven't seen her in months. She won her seat not based on the black vote. 70-something% of the people that voted for her were Hispanic, and as long as she's doing the Hispanic bidding, she can stay in that seat. And that's pretty much how it goes. So yes, he has influence, but they both engage in it, and the Democrats, in my opinion, do it worse than the Republicans.
So what about people, especially Democrats, saying, oh, they're, requiring people to have IDs and, all all these other changes going on at the polls. I guess they want to see the makeup of voters in certain states and things like that. Would that be considered voter interference or, rigging the elections per se?
Absolutely not. When you drive a car, do you have to have a driver's license to drive a car? Why? You should be able just to drive the car, right? There are certain specifications that they don't you want to know that the people that are voting are eligible to vote? Look at what just happened up in Michigan. You had illegal Somalis or people that have immigrated here that they found, or wait, no, the Somalis, and what's that guy from Trinidad or Guyana, wherever he was from? He was in Iowa, he was the superintendent of the schools. Wouldn't you want to know that a person can legally vote? Everybody has ID. What's wrong with that? Everybody has a driver's license, right? Everybody's driving. What's the problem with that? Why is it such a problem just to produce your ID and say, hey, I can vote. I'm an American citizen. This is how it is. I don't see what the problem is. If you think that asking for your ID for you to vote is against your democratic whim, take it to court and see if you win. I guarantee you won't. It's not a poll tax. It's not this. It is enforcing the law, which says you must be an American citizen or resident, whatever the rule is, to vote. That's all it's saying. If you can't produce a ID, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. And you got to think about this. Those of us that are legal Americans, when you have a bunch of, let's say, 20 million illegals that have come into the country and they've flooded your city, how much say-so do you think you're going to have when you have an influx of 60, 50,000 immigrants that have come into your city that are now voting in your elections? You got to think about it.
Yeah, I always thought that was strange as well. There are some states, but there's 36 states that do require you to have IDs. But I mean, I voted in Illinois because I used to live there for 2 seconds, Texas, and California. And each time I can remember, I had to produce an ID. I wasn't able just to walk up and say, hey, I'm here to vote or whatever, here's my name. So I personally don't see that being weird, and I agree with you. I don't understand why that's a big deal. You have to have an ID, it doesn't have to be a driver's license, but you have to have an ID to do most things, cash a check, or, it's not a form to identify yourself.
Yeah, sign up for free benefits. You got to have an ID.
Yeah, so but I guess some are considering that to be in a sense you're trying to and specifically it's been said disenfranchise Black people, and that's a talk. And see, this is right up Donovan's alley. Oh, I'm just telling you what I heard, man. I'm just telling you what I heard. Okay, it's a way to disenfranchise Black folks because when you ask people to get IDs, that might disproportionately affect Black people, and you hear that a lot from the Democrat Party. It's not fair, but it's like, I mean, how hard is it to get an ID, right? Again, maybe you don't want to drive, you can't drive, but you can get a state ID or passport if you travel or whatever it is, right? So, but that's the argument that's going to disproportionately harm Black folks.
Well, I have to disagree with that because when I look on YouTube, I see the sisters going on their girls' trips and doing all they got to do. So if you can get a passport, you shouldn't have a problem with having a damn ID. You know what I mean? Even to get weed at the weed shop, you got to have ID. From what I understand, you just can't come up there and do all these things. You can't get Section 8. You can't get food stamps without an ID. So what's the problem here? Do you guys see the fear mongering that they continue to do, and they roll out these shills that will keep telling you all this stuff, and only the ignorant will fall for it? Why would you have a problem producing your ID? If you're driving your car and the cop stops you legally in a legal form, and driving is a privilege, it's not a right, you have to produce your ID. It's as simple as that. When you go to school, college, whatever, you have to have an ID to be on the campus. Everywhere you go into any business, they've got these little ID tags and stuff when you go into buildings and stuff. But yet we have to have a problem with voting. I want to know that the people that are allowed to vote can vote. But going back to that Iowa professor that was over schools, he was registered to vote in Maryland. He wasn't even a legal citizen. And we wonder how these Democrats are winning elections. And in Somaliland, up in Michigan, they are questioning the elections up there because you have these people that were under temporary status electing their own people into office. How do you elect people that aren't even citizens into and I know there are some cities and states or cities that can elect. You don't have to be a citizen or whatever to go on to be elected to certain offices. But the point is, this is what happens when a group of people who do not want to assimilate into America, like Blacks were forced to, they want to take over. That's why we're taking over. They've got this hubris about them. So I think it's ridiculous. I say people don't fall for this. Go do your voting. Do what you need to do. And what white supremacy is white supremacy. So as we found out, it doesn't matter if a Republican is in office or if a Democrat's in office, right? Have Black people got anything under any of them? Nope.
Absolutely. Eileen, thank you so much for the donation. Love and appreciate you for that. And let's see here. And Diesel Purge, how you doing? Says I have 4 IDs. Which one you want to see? Well, and I think Donovan, I don't know if it's the larger conversation, but the conversation that should be had is that on the state and local levels, it's got very low voter turnout anyway, right? So I think from the people who are raising an issue about it, they're probably like, well, the Trump administration or whoever, they know that. And so if we could just get, throw a monkey wrench in it, just some way to get, to siphon off some more of those votes. I'm in the midterm, but I think the other thing too is I think the Republicans know that they may have an uphill battle because there's a lot of people, especially on, the Republican side, MAGA, whatever. It's like, yeah, I didn't really sign up for all of that, right? And so it is speculated that the Trump administration is trying to figure out ways to finagle the election so that they can keep the majority there in Washington. But like I said, I think the larger conversation too is how do you get people out to vote? We know there's a lot of apathy in the state and local levels or the midterms. People are just like, I don't really see the rah-rah like there, usually is during the federal elections. We don't see your Megans and your Kid Rocks and all these people out there dancing, and we don't see that, right? So it's like, what's the big deal? I'll just wait until the presidential election comes around, and then when that happens, they wonder why there is a congestion, if you will, in Congress, because it's like, well, right now, the Republicans, they have a stronghold on Washington, the House, the Senate, the presidency, and some would argue the Supreme Court, right? 6-3 majority, conservative Supreme Court justices. So, I think that's where they should be saying, hey, if you really want to change things around, get out there and vote. But to fearmonger people into saying that we need to get out there and march and protest is like, okay, we march and protest, then what? Then what do we do? Or what's the plan after that? Okay, we walk off the jobs, we walk out of the schools, and if you believe what people are saying in regards to the economy and inflation and things like that, how many people really can afford to walk out of their jobs? See, because you have somebody like Tamika Mowry, who's, I'm sure, getting a bag somewhere. She's got books and I don't know, podcasts, and she's a national figure, and she's, probably getting a lot of income. So it's kind of, I don't know, weird when you see people that won't be harmed by walking off of a job, because she probably doesn't really punch a clock, but she's leading the helm like, hey, Joe Schmo and Mary, whatever, leave your jobs. It's like, well, every day that I'm not at the job, that means I can't pay my bills. So what are we really doing?
And you leave your job, AI might take it where there won't be no job for you to go back to.
Yeah, so it's like, how realistic is any of that, right? And again, it's a lot of fear mongering going on. I don't know. To me, it'd be better off just to tell people, get out there and vote. Those are where they have the lowest turnouts. Is the state, local, midterm, whatever it is, city council meetings. Donovan, we know that in most cities, especially somewhere like Moreno Valley, how many people showed up to vote for the city councils?
Oh, city council, we have an average of a turnout of probably like 20%, 15%, 15 to 20%. So basically, in a town of 210,000 people, probably 20,000 decide what goes on in the city, basically.
Yeah, and in some cases, a lot of those seats go unchallenged, right? A lot of people say, I'm not going to even run against this person because they're probably going to win, because their faithful group of voters will show up. And, Donovan talks about it a lot. It's the name, it's the face, whoever has the biggest posters and pictures and things like that. Those people usually get reelected. So I don't know. I don't know why they don't spend time really trying to energize and wake people up about those things. And the other thing too is give people a reason to vote, especially if you bring it back to Black Americans. A lot of Black Americans are asking, what's in it for me, right? With them, what's in it for me to get out there and vote? Because as we've seen, especially in the last decades or so, the Black Americans have not benefited specifically from anything, right? Civil rights movement, any of that kind of stuff. It has really benefited everybody else. So that question has to be answered. So again, we, Black Americans included, we're asked to get out there and leave your job, not go to school, just shut down the country. But it's like, what's in it for us? Because we've seen when those things take place, everybody else is helped by that, right? And you brought up James Clyburn. We know that when Joe Biden was running in 2020, his campaign was, in a sense, dead in the water until he did what? He went to South Carolina, and James Clyburn said, hey, come to church with me. I know some people you could talk to. I'm going there and I'm going to tell those Negroes that you better vote for this good white man. And by golly, South Carolina put Joe Biden back in the game. I mean, he was not supposed to, he's supposed to tap out, right? But they put him back in the game. But nothing was ever answered for Black Americans, especially in South Carolina. Hey, what's in it for us to do that? Now, of course, when Joe Biden got in office, when he was president-elect, what did he say? Oh, something like, Black Americans, you've had my back and I'll have yours. And what did he do? Donovan, you heard him in that secret meeting that was leaked. What did he tell him?
You better get behind them Mexicans and learn to work with them.
And that's what happened, right? It was Al Sharpton and all of them. They thought they was going to, be telling Joe Biden what to do. He says, look at here. I'm in control now. And you better get in line. And they did. And we watched that whole administration, that whole 4 years of a whole lot of illegal immigration. It was mass illegal immigration. And the Biden administration welcomed them over, had, phones and apps, and told them where they could go, what they could get, and just, hey, go over there. And they put them mostly where? in the Black communities. They put them in our communities.
And you know, and I don't want to cut you off, but people, you guys got to realize here in California, here your green screen came up. Here in California, there's less than 6% of Black folks. We've been gentrified out of our neighborhoods, but we're not only gentrified physically, we are gentrified politically. We have no voice. In my city of 210,000 people, you can get all of the Black folks to vote. It won't make a difference. The Hispanics, again, when you've got people who come from other countries, who come here intact, they are accommodated. Their language is accommodated. Everything is accommodated to them. Black FBA are the only group of people where nothing was accommodated. We had to assimilate and learn. Learn English, learn Christianity, learn this, learn that, learn all the skills, build the country. We're the only groups that did that. Everybody else comes here. Oh, you don't speak Vietnamese? Oh, here, we got a translator. Oh, here, we'll do this. They didn't do that for us. So here you are, a whole bunch of people that have come into the country, into our communities. Politically, they run for office, and then they take over. And then guess what happens? All the resources start going to their group. Then you got your bootlicks like Maxine Waters and all these other ones that go right along with it. Maxine Waters let a $6 billion stadium be built in the heart of South Central Los Angeles, gentrified the area, kicked the Negroes up out of there, gave them pennies on the dollar for their homes so that rich white folks and Mexican cartel members and whatever else could go and enjoy a 18 season, 9-game home game season at SoFi Stadium. You guys have really got to understand. And like you said, they came into our neighborhoods and flooded our neighborhoods and shot down our voices. They're gentrifying us physically and politically. How many people remember those LA County council members that were caught on mic planning and plotting against the Black neighborhoods and all that other stuff? They all got caught. And yet they still held their offices. Some of them left, whatever the deal is, because of disgrace and stuff. But who gonna check them, boo? Demetria, I think you did a show on a council member or a school board member in Miami who said some derogatory things against Black people. He still has his seat. This is what they're doing, you guys. This is what they're doing. And we allow it. This is why the midterms are so important. If you got a representative or a council member that ain't doing the job, get them up out of there. Simple as that. That's why we have the midterms.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, and Quan said, I truly believe it's time for a popular vote, not the electoral anymore for president. Well, they ain't gonna trust the people to do it, right? They have to have all these, other checks and balances to say, well, I know this is popular vote, but this is something else that we're gonna go with because it could be so simple. But that's not the way it is, right? And that obviously that has to go through an act of Congress to change any of that. And doesn't seem like nobody's really interested in doing it. But, I think, as somebody said too, what's in it for Black Americans? And that's the question that should be asked and answered every time. You see somebody like Tamika Mowry say, hey, we need to walk out of the job. It's like, well, what's in it for me? Because I can't afford to be walking out of no jobs. You know what I mean? And a lot of people can't afford to walk out of school. Hell, they paying tuition and all that. And I'm walking out to do what? Am I walking out as it's going to be a net benefit for me and my people? If that's we're going to get to all of that. We got to wait and see, it's an all together, people of color, minority type thing. Then it's like, no, because we know what happens when we go along with the minority talking points of the people of color, talking points of the marginalized people, whatever it is, they, mix us all together.
LGBTQ, those people have more benefits than we do.
And, and no shade to them, for whatever reason, they got the juice, right? And it says, I guess it's less than 2% of them in the country. I didn't know how they got the juice somehow. Y'all, I wasn't trying to go there, but yeah, they got the juice. But we have the juice too as Black Americans. We just decide not to really use it. We get hoodwinked every time. And if you think I'm lying, Think about the whole the George Floyd protest. What happened with that? Everybody was on fire, right? Wow, we gonna burn and tear this mother and all that. And then we got the Congressional Black Caucus and the Democrats. They tied on the kente cloth and all of that, and they got down on one knee and they said, "Don't worry, trust us. We got it from here. We're gonna make sure that this never happens again." And to this day, there is no George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed. There is one, but it's not passed, right? Again, y'all remember Kamala when she went to Tyree Nichols' funeral, where he was unalived, if you will, by the 5 Black police officers. And she says, "I'm going to go to Washington and I'm going to tell Joe Biden, you need to sign that George Floyd Justice and Policing Act right now." Somehow she didn't get to it. So with that, we're there at that point. We're past that point. What's in it for us? Great. A walkout sounds cool, because Black Americans, I think we could say fairly, right, that we have the blueprint of boycotting, walking out, and and all. I think we've done that, right? But again, no shade to our ancestors, the Civil Rights Movement. We did that, and everybody else has been benefiting from the Civil Rights Act, except for us. Only thing we got was, we got to eat and sit with white people. So yeah. Brother Rodney, how you doing? He says, Congressional Black Caucus led by a pro-immigration Jamaican chairperson, Congresswoman Yvette D. Clark, right, of Brooklyn. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, Brother Rodney. A lot of people really just didn't know. I think many of us for a while thought Black means Black, right? If you're Black from the motherland, you're Black from the Caribbean, Black from South America, wherever or America, we're Black, right? We all are Black and we all have the same interests. But we found that out within the last, maybe 10 years or so. Like, for real, we've been having this conversation that, Black ain't Black. Hence the whole delineation conversation, right? Because we've seen Yvette Clark talk about what is she, Jamaican? I think she's Jamaican. She's part
first generation Jamaican.
She's part of the Caribbean caucus. And again, I illustrate this a lot. The other caucuses, they are strictly for their people. It does not say marginalized people, other groups of people. Their caucuses say whether it's the Hispanic, the Asian, the Caribbean, but the Congressional Black Caucus, it says African Americans or something like that, and other marginalized people. So it's like, why are you the only caucus that's rallying for everybody else? Of course, we've seen they don't rally for Black Americans specifically at all.
See, and the sad thing is, these immigrants come here looking Black, having the Black skin. This is why the Somalis say they're not Somalis. This is why the Dominicans say they're not Dominican. When you're in a country where everybody looks like you, there is no racism in the aspect of racism, but there is a caste system. The lighter you are, the whatever, and that's in the Dominican Republic, Somalia, wherever you go. But the problem is when these people immigrate here, they don't know the Black American struggle in history, and that should be taught and be a part of them being American. Because it's easy to come here and see what Operation Mockingbird tells you about Black people. Oh, they're dangerous, they're criminals, they're this. But to me, it's really insulting. This is why I'm not a Pan-Africanist, because in my experience, the only group in the diaspora that practices Pan-Africanism is Black Americans. And let's go back a little bit farther in history. When we all came here forcibly, no matter what tribe you are, and if you guys watch the original Roots, it kind of talks about that on the ship, on the slave ship. If you guys remember, the one guy was like, whatever your language is, teach your brother. And that's how our experience here is in America, where you have this diaspora of Africans that came together and we had to assimilate together. And that's our history. But then you got these people who immigrate here and have the nerve. Dimitri, I saw the funniest thing. I have a friend who's African, and he's talking about, wait, how do they click? You Black Americans, you guys have no culture. You guys have this, that. While this person is wearing Jordans, hip hop clothes, you know what I mean? Just everything that's black, that was considered black that we profess. But they have the nerve to say, we don't have any culture. We don't have any of this. No, we don't have any tribalism. In America, when you're black, there's 5 colors. And I remember reading this book. Red is Indian. Yellow is Asian. White is white. Black is black. Brown is brown. Brown being Latin, so on and so forth. That's here in this country. It's funny how these people come here and they act like this country is where they came from. It's like that doesn't apply here. Here, everything's an adjective. You're black. When I see a white guy, what is he, German? Is he English? Is he French? Is he Spanish? Because that's considered white in this country. No, we just say white because I don't know what his heritage background is. So it's just one of those things that I just think that I really do think it's impossible for us to come together with people who on their own continent can't even come together themselves because of tribalism. It's just, to me, I think it's incredible. Give me that.
And I see we got a little bit of a back and forth in the comment section. And Tahuti, how you doing? It says too many black people are politically immature and ignorant. We're too busy trying to be liked and in our feelings to really do something beneficial. Even more so, we as a collective have no idea what to request. You know what? I agree with you. I agree with you. We are not all of us, but I think, and it's not even something we think, it's something we know. Look at how we vote, right? Look how we vote. We are immature and we are in our feelings, right? They told us and they tell us every time because we know that predominantly the black voter is what aligned with what party? The Democrats. And the Democrats tell us what? It's about, they tell everybody else, but I'm just saying in general, right? Joy and vibes and, keep hope alive and hope and change and all this other stuff. And then we get what? We get things that make us feel good, right? Megan, Beyonce, and all these things, right? All the feel good, that no voting, no walking, the strippers to the polls, the fish fries, and we get those things. And to your other point, it's like a lot of times, we don't know what we should be requesting. When we have been saying a lot lately, we should be requesting something specific for us. We know that we want reparations, we want a hate crime bill, right? We want a whole host of things that we've been asking for, but we haven't been asking as loudly as more and more of us are asking. But to your point, we are politically immature because the 92%. Remember when Kamala didn't win, the 92%, they were sitting down. The 92% represents the percentage of black women that voted for Kamala. We sitting down, we resting, we're not doing anything else. And it's like, so you're mad that Kamala didn't get in. Of course, I can understand with some of the things that Trump is doing why people will be mad. But the 92%, the 78% of black men that voted for Kamala could never answer what were we going to get for a Kamala presidency. She'd already told us she didn't think that we should get reparations. I'm not going to do something that just benefits black people. No, that's what she said, right? So you're mad, but we saw what she and Biden, they championed. They championed mass immigration, and it did hurt black Americans predominantly. Again, you can go to Chicago where they're trying to flip it red because they were tired of what was happening. They were literally shipping immigrants into the black communities, and they were getting all that they were to get. While the black residents there in Chicago were saying, oh, wait and see, we don't know about the school being open for this, that, and the other. But as soon as the immigrants got up in there, they got all the things, right? Especially in New York under Eric Adams. They got cards with money on it because they didn't like the food that was in the pantry. It just wasn't from their country type thing, right? So we need to give them money and they can go into
accommodated.
Go into the bodegas and buy the food that they want. It's like, but again, that's what, when Biden got into office, that's what the majority of black voters voted for. You voted for that. So I agree with you, but I want to go down to this comment really quick, Donovan. Let's see. There's a disagreement somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second. Hey Charles, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. And watch me not be able to find it
Yeah.
because now I'm looking for it.
And I want you guys to know this cat only comes and bothers me like this when he knows I'm on the internet. I think he wants to be famous. This is T'Challa. He wants to be famous.
Well,
Get your little
he's
thing.
working. He's working on that. I was trying to find the comment. I'm sure I'll see it. But Charles, he says, Dems make us feel good by what they are saying, so we vote for them and they give us nothing. Then they ignore us down the road. Yeah, it's tried and true is what they do. You know, for her good. How you doing? Says thanks for sharing this truth. Oh, it's our pleasure. And Amy, and y'all names are kind of put together. Amy, and I know I've said it wrong, but I put it up here. He says, I want to be classified as a type of a civilization. Okay, it's a whole civilization. That's interesting. Rose, did I say hi to you? If not, hello. And JJ was going on and says, we are going to get the joy, right? We just need to bring the joy back. Julia, how you doing? I'm not
Well, what about this? Yeah, has everybody, it's just funny how everybody forgets this. What happened to Project 2025? What happened to that? The slave patrols and, Jennifer Lewis, you done messed up now. They're going to shoot you in the back. All of this is all going to start happening again. You see what I'm saying? Project 2025, not one thing that they proposed actually happened. And then they won't even admit Project 2025. Do you guys know Obamacare was a think tank idea from the Republicans? In Boston, they call it Romney Care, and so on, so on, and so forth. So not all bad things come out of these think tanks, but they gaslight us to say, oh, you black people, you messed up. Now Trump is back. How many of you guys, as a black person, has been affected by the Trump administration? From what I'm seeing in California, black people are just minding their business out here. No ICE is coming. Nothing's happening for us. Period.
Hey, Pamela says, show us his face. And whose face is that, if you don't mind me asking? And let's see.
Cat. She's probably talking about Cat.
Oh, got you. Julia Albite says, alas, Intel was the top rated pollster of 2020 and 2024. Their most recent polls have Donald Trump at a negative 21% approval rating and Democrats at a plus 16 favor to win the midterms. Yeah, I don't doubt that. I can definitely see some flipping going on in the midterms. Definitely. There's a lot of people who are just, I'm good. Because to your other point about the Affordable Care Act, those tax cuts were not renewed for this year and all of that. So there's a lot of people's premiums that have skyrocketed. And so there's a lot of people that will be going to the polls and say, yeah, we don't want no more of this. The unfortunate part for a lot of people who voted maybe for Trump out of racism, or they thought he was going to stick it to everybody else. They're learning that Trump is part of the oligarchy. They don't care about anybody. And so a lot of those people who have had their premium skyrocket, a lot of them they in the MAGA crowd as well. So everybody's feeling the crunch. So yeah, I mean, I can see why people have some fears as to why the Trump administration might want to try to do some finagling of the midterms, because I think they'll lose a lot of people who voted for them the last time. I really do.
Well, we got to look at it this way too, Demetra. Okay, let's say that number one, we remember the news told you Kamala was ahead in the voting and all this other, the midterms last time, and they were totally wrong. Couldn't read the room, whatever. Trump was going to lose, Trump won, so on and so forth, right? But let's be real about this in regards to the midterms. If the Democrats take the House back and the Senate back, either or, whatever they take, they're most likely going to take the House back. It's only like 5 members or something, like 3 or 4 or 5 members. I think it's 3. It's 3 members between it. Now you have a stalemate. What do you think is going to move forward? You've got one party that is opposed to what Donald Trump is doing. Donald Trump, if he's checked, he can't do what he needs to do. So now we're back to square one. Have you guys noticed that in politics? Every time, be it good or bad, we move in a direction, the other party pulls it back. And then what gets done for the American people? Absolutely nothing. Nothing is getting done. The only thing these guys agree on is tax cuts for the rich and the military-industrial complex. Nothing gets done for the American people because they have us so brainwashed. Oh, Donald Trump is so terrible, whatever, whatever. What if the Maduro and the oil thing that he's doing works in America's benefit? I'm not saying, we're not here to debate all that. But what if it does work? Because remember, people dogged out Ronald Reagan, right, for what he did. But in the long term, some of his policies were correct. What is going to get done? Now you got the Democrats that want to stop that agenda. Trump comes in, he stops illegal immigration at its tracks, right? Is that a plus for America? Some people say yes. The liberals say no. You see what I'm saying? Nothing's getting done. But I guarantee you, as a black person, stopping illegal immigration, that helped black people. That helped black people because we were getting wiped out. There is not enough sex you can have in a 4-year period to produce 40 million people in the country in a 4-year span. I can't say never, ladies. I would like to maybe try. No, never mind. But you guys know what I'm saying. When you dump 40 million people into the country, there is no way as black people we can compete against that. And that was stopped by Donald Trump, a guy that most black people are conditioned to hate. Doesn't make sense.
Well, what do you think about this? It says, I think black people could have gotten something for their vote if they approached Trump like a business deal instead of reading him for filth.
Well, here's the problem with that. You did have some black people that did come to him and he did make deals. HBCU. I don't understand what are the HBCUs doing with all of this money? They just raised $4 million for them the other night or whatever, a couple nights ago. Trump gave them $10 million something so they don't have to come begging to the White House for 10 years in his first term. Where's all this money going to these HBCUs? Has everybody ever asked that question? They keep asking for money and you keep shoveling money into these HBCUs. And yet we don't have a talented 10th. They don't, you know what I mean? We're not getting anything for our buck. Where is this money going to? Who is it going to?
And you got somebody like Mackenzie, her name is changed now, but for the sake of remembrance, Mackenzie Bezos, right? She's Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. Man, she's giving a lot of money, millions, right, to HBCUs. So I don't know. It sounds like it costs more to go to HBCUs as well. So that could have something to do with it. And of course, we know there has been some cases of misappropriations and things like that. But yeah, you're right. There have been some black people that went to Trump. Ice Cube was one of them. And you had, 90-year-old ladies talking about, I'm done with Ice Cube. I'm not going to none of his concerts. Like, okay. I mean, the man just literally, he put the contract with Black America before both administrations, and the Trump administration is the one that said, oh, okay, introduced the Dr. Claude Anderson stuff and all of that. And the incoming Biden administration was like, yeah, we'll get back to you if we get in. And of course they got in and, they, in a sense, hung Ice Cube out to dry, and people just attacked him. And I don't think that brother, I think he's probably just like, I'm gone from it. Of course, we know Ice Cube didn't have to do any of that. His money is long for a lot of generations, right? But he was like, well, I was thinking about my grandchildren and everybody else. I could not say anything, but I thought that I would take my platform and do that. And black folks ripped him a whole new one.
Yeah, if we, and here's the thing about Trump. See, the news media, Operation Mockingbird, doesn't report the opposition's positive things. How did we forget the First Step Act? Joe Biden incarcerated over 1 million people under his bill in the 1990s, and people are still in jail on marijuana convictions. 3 strikes. And then Joe Biden said, well, I didn't know, made all these excuses, right? He was the president at the time. He could have pardoned all of those people that were in there. Did he? Did not. He did not do it. But Donald Trump is pardoning. I know he's pardoning some questionable people, but again, he let out a lot of black people that should not have been in jail to begin with. He's done that. And
Brother Charles says when they give money like that, there's something in it for them. That's is not out of the kindness of their hearts. There is something wrong involved. Well, I've heard Mackenzie's story, and she, oh gosh, who was it? Toni Morrison or one of them, one of those, writers. Somebody was her professor. I don't know if it was Toni Morrison, but somebody like that. Alice Walker, maybe one of them was her professor, and she said she was down bad, right, when she was a student. And they looked out for her, made sure she had a place to stay sometimes and food to eat. And they really just helped and enlightened her. So she said that was her way of giving back to the Black community, because the Black community helped her. That's the story that I heard about Mackenzie Bezos as to why she gives millions of dollars to HBCUs. So, yeah, I hope that helps. There was something else I was going to say, but, I'll be forgetting because I'm, getting up there in age. Let's see. Kwan, you say, going to start making some West Coast dinner while continue listening. That's a great new year. Walk tall, be strong, stay on code, and never lose faith, because we're the greatest people to have liberated America. Absolutely. What you making? I'm always hungry, but I shouldn't be eating. Sonovia, he says, I voted for Trump. Okay, I said it. I voted for Trump because we as Black Americans needed a wake-up call. Yeah, we're getting it. It's slow, but surely we're getting a wake-up call. We're learning that we have no friends, and we've been told that by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We've been told that by John Henry Clark and a whole host of other people. We have no friends. We got to be a friend to ourselves, right? Somebody brought up Khalid Muhammad, saying regardless of what party you're lying to, you're still a slave. So we're learning that right now. That I mean, you don't have to believe me. You can look at either administration, whether it's the Republicans or the Democrats. You can say, well, have Black America improved at all under either administration? And the answer is no. And Donovan, to your point about Joe Biden, you got to go back to the 80s, homie. Said he's the author of every major and minor crime bill since, was it 1976 or 86? Something like that, right? So he was proud of that. He was proud of making these crime bills, specifically making the difference between crack cocaine and powder. If you were doing powder, you were probably white and you got the little slap on the wrist. But if you was crack, you was probably Black. And you went to jail for that because you're a criminal. And then to your point, Donovan, he said, well, and because a lot of Black people run around saying, oh, he said he was sorry. He apologized. No, he didn't. He said, I got bad information. I got bad medical information, and that's why I made the decisions I made. But he never said I was sorry. But like you said, Donovan, the best apology is opening up them jails. You had the opportunity to free people, right? And we know that what he took part in, it caused a permanent ripple in Black American communities that will never be fixed. Just like when our ancestors were robbed of our reparations after the plantation, right? And 40 acres and a mule they were supposed to get, they did not get. And it said that it's going to take over 232 years to close the wealth gap between Blacks and whites, right? If we do not get that reparations check. So it's not a handout or anything like that. It's something that's owed to us and the countless other things. So yeah, that's the best apology. Free them all. I saw, gosh, I can't remember who it was. Somebody today, don't get me the line, but they was Black. They got out of jail, prison today after, I think, 48 years, 43 years. Is like, y'all let these Black folks out of prison when they in their good 80s and damn near 90s, huh? Like, okay, I think they're not a threat anymore.
Yeah, and another thing you guys got to remember, most of your weed and drug convictions is at the state level. The president doesn't have power over the state. He has power over federal government, and those convicted at the federal level, it's very minimal, compared to the states. So again, this is our education system. And, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to everybody, but we conglomerate what the president can do with what he could do over the nation. He can't do anything over the nation. So it goes back to the midterms. So if you have a loved one that's incarcerated in your state, and you got a governor that's letting this loved one or a friend or somebody sit there on a weed conviction, why aren't you pressing that governor to give that person a pardon? Especially if he's a Democrat, because remember, the Black woman is the backbone of the Democratic Party, and they depend on Black people to get out there and vote. So if you got a Democratic governor, because we know the Republican governor ain't gonna do it, but if you got a Democratic governor, Why aren't you pressing him to release these people under the new marijuana laws that have come into fruition in the last 15, 20 years? Ask yourself that.
They simply don't care. Because if the Democrats, that's who we vote for predominantly as Black voters. If the Democrats don't tell you to do it, then we don't care about it. It's not a big deal. It's not an issue. I've heard so many Black folks say he said he was sorry. That was the past. But like you said, there's still a lot of people in those prisons, like you said, on the federal level, that's all they could do anything about. But you could pressure your local leadership. Hey, you got people in there who been, denied parole and things like that. They're very old now. What threat are they really? Tahuti says it amazes me is how Black people forgave Biden and voted for him without any atonement. Blue, no matter who, in full effect. Yeah. And was mad at everybody else for telling you, hey, he's done some things to harm the Black community. Oh, that was in the past. We got to let it go.
Isn't that the same analogy white people would say in regards to reparations? That was in the past. Let it go. See, this is why we have to stay on code. I give the Somalis all the credit. They stay on code. They're not going to admit any wrongdoing, no matter who is speaking at the podium, be it in Ohio, be it in Boston, wherever they're doing their fraud. They're staying on code. They're not taking any accountability. Everything is racism with them. But see, this is why we have to be careful, because if we use that stigma, well, let it go. It's in the past. Guess what the white man's going to do? Well, hey, we let this go. It was in the past. Shouldn't you guys let reparations go? It's in the past. While their relatives make billions and billions of dollars off the dead bodies of our ancestors.
And you're right, Albie Chill. He says, because the state has a contract with the private prisons to guarantee our bodies. Yeah, and a lot of times people say, oh, no, they got rid of that. They kind of said, I think it was under the Biden administration, that they got rid of the private prisons, but they circumvented because they have a middleman and a man over here and there, and then they funnel it all back. And so, yeah, there's private prisons still involved, and they get they did anyway, a lot of government money to do that. And like you said, with things are private, that means that they have investors. And in order to have investors, they have them continue to invest. You have to guarantee them a return on their investment. And so with that, they have to guarantee 90% occupancy in those prison beds in order for the investors to say, hey, it was worth the investment. So that's why you now have the school to prison pipeline and, just a whole host of things. Because at the end of the day, if you think people matter more than money, especially when it comes to a country or a corporation, the same thing, right? You got a rude awakening coming. They'll tell you they care about people, but look how they legislate. That'll tell you whether they care about people. I think America's only one of the only places in the world that imprison people as harshly as we do and as long as we do. I know there's some other places, but I think America's at the top of that, keeping people in forever and ever and ever. There's no way that you can even be redeemed at all, because a lot of that is tied to the money. We'll keep them in there, And J15, how you doing? Says, how did you get to Moreno? How did you get to Moreno Valley? I still have a home in Inglewood. I ain't, where'd it go? It says, I ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, I've been in this area since 1977. The military base was what brought me here. I'm basically a city elder, because the Moreno Valley didn't come into fruition until 1984. So I predate Moreno Valley.
Sunnymead, right? It was Sunnymead over there.
It was, the history of this is March Air Force Base, Sunnymead, Moreno, and Edgemont. Those four towns became Moreno Valley.
Yeah, I remember Sunnymead was a thing, and I was just like a little snippet of any of that. I was over there when I was out there. I went to the gym over there, Planet Fitness, when I was there. Carmen, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Says Happy New Year. And the companies that supply the prisons, Mark and companies like that. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but they say, oh no, that doesn't exist anymore. As do your research. It's not in plain sight like it was before, but they definitely are benefiting.
Dimitri, I have a question for you. How many lies will the Democrats tell us straight in our face? And we keep we keep supporting them, not necessarily voting, but we keep supporting it. We won't take a lie from our spouse or our significant other. We out ready to leave, take the kids and do everything else, divorce, whatever, based on one mistake. These fools keep making mistake after mistake, making promises after promises. And we just, we love us some Democrats. But let your loved one say, honey, I'll be home at 10, stays out with the boys a little bit, helping single moms at the local gentleman's club. Right. You see what I'm saying? And you're ready to leave and pack up. But an entity that doesn't do anything for you other than keep you in poverty, you will just go 100% no matter what they do and continually support them. I can't understand it.
Well, people gonna tell you as many lies as you believe. You know, they'll keep lying to you until you do your research and be able to call them on it. That's what they'll do. You know, a lot of people, believe it or not, like to be lied to, whether you're in a relationship or whatever it is, because and I say this, that people like to be lied to because the truth is painful. If I say, you know, why don't you love me? You say, but I do love you. Then you say, okay. Now, obviously, their actions illustrate differently, right? But they say lie to you and say, but I do love you. And you're like, oh, okay, good. Oh, I can sleep at night because the lie comforts you, right? Now, if they say, you know what? I don't love you. You're right. And you just don't do it for me anymore. I'm just not turned on by you. In fact, I love somebody else. See, that's the truth. But boy, don't that just slices and dices you, right? So in order to avoid the slicing and dicing, you just say, well, they said they love me, and that's what I'm gonna go with. But then, like you said, the next night they out supporting single mamas that's clicking their heels all up on the poles and all this other stuff. Come home again. Why did you stay out? Oh, because I had a flat tire. Oh, okay. Obviously, that's a lie. But the truth is, hey, baby, I was blowing the rent up in, the nasty kitty. That hurts to hear that. So that's why that sometimes the truth, it hurts too much. So go ahead and lie to me. Go ahead. So anyway, I love and appreciate every last one of y'all. It's been my pleasure. I will be back here tomorrow. I know Donovan's got things to do, but of course, Donovan doesn't need my invitation to be here. He can be hearing what he wants. Just again, I have to say that because I do see some comments is like, oh, where's Donovan? You know, like I done did something to him. I done hid him off somewhere, tied him up in the basement, and only let him come out a couple of times.
You know what I think it is? Those are some people that saw some of our older videos where you were kicking me and abusing me on air. So if you guys get a chance, the thing in the ribs and all that other stuff. If you guys want some serious comedy, go back and look at Demetra and I in our early days of doing this show, and you will be surprised at how we've changed over the years. I mean, Demetra's pretty much the same. You know, she's still 25 years old, all that other great stuff. But I had a little hair when I started, and I just started going, and then I got the George Jefferson look, and then I went with the Bram Stoker Dracula.
And who was that? Charlie Brown that got like 3 little squigglies on top. That's Donovan. You look like Charlie Brown with the 3 little squiggly hairs on top.
Right, but I'm serious. I take some time and I look at those videos and I look at how far we've come and how so much far we have left to go.
And as always, y'all can find Donovan. I put his information in the description box. Donovan Sadiq on YouTube and Facebook. He's always talking. Donovan, he talks more to me, boy. He'll fire up his machine and be like, listen here, I just find it funny. Don't you think it's odd that? So yeah, he's on Donovan Sadiq on YouTube and Facebook. Yeah, he has a lot of insightful things to say, but you guys will always be able to find his information in the comment or the description.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, like I said on my show yesterday, I went to City Hall today and made some FOIA requests. African Native, we've been doing this show for almost 8-9 years now. 8-9 years. So it's 8 years of shows, and you're going to see us talking about Kamala Harris, Kanika Jenkins, everything that was popping. We were getting it started, and we did a studio. We started in my garage. I built a studio in my garage. Then we upgraded to a studio in San Bernardino, the city of San Bernardino. Then COVID hit. Remember Hector and those guys?
Hector died.
Yeah, he ended up passing away of COVID. But and then somebody decided to move to Texas when everything was popping. And we even had a TV show. We're just on the internet. We were on the local TV network. So it was popping over here. So, but go check it out. If you guys want to like see some laughter and just stuff, go check out those old videos.
It was good times, good times. And Donovan will never forgive me for leaving California. And, you know, when I go back, I'll never forgive myself. I'm like, I left all of this. These good old palm trees and sunshine and mountains and good fresh air. The beach is here. And,
right. No bugs.
Okay. Texas got water bugs this big. It's like, is it a pterodactyl? Well, like, is it going to, they do be having flying roaches and stuff out here too. Lord, don't get me started on about that. Anyway, love and appreciate every last one. It says, what happened to Reverend X? Reverend Papa, who's Reverend X? You talking about the dude? I think if I know who you talking about, he's the Spirit of Truth. He was the one that had the cable network show. I think that's who we're talking about, the same one, the cable one. And he be preaching from the phone book. He'd be like, hang up on that bee.
Wait, and you also see us do guest cameos with rest in peace Matthews and Jerry Monroe. We were on the War Zone. So you guys check out the old War Zone videos. We did that for like a year. A lot of great stuff.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. We had some good times. So yeah, Reverend X, I know who you're talking about. I follow him actually on Instagram. He's definitely a special dude. He's not, I don't know if he's the Spirit of Truth anymore. I don't know what he's got going on, but yeah, I would have liked to go to his church at least once, you know. Yeah. Panther Strike, he says, Demetri and Donovan, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of. He says, new voices of Black media. You both have enlightened and empowered us with your voices. Well, you know what? Love and appreciate you for that. It's, you know, what we're born to do per se, right? Miss Pamela says, Reverend X, is that the cursing light-skinned guy that crip walk? That's him. Like I said, I would have liked to go to his church at least once, right? Just to kind of see, you know, if he was anointed or not. I mean, you know, some people deliver the word in their ways. Some people cuss people out, but I don't know. So yeah, I thought he was very interesting. Hang up on that. Anyway, love and appreciate y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow. Please join me on the African Diaspora News Channel at 11 a.m. Central Time, where I have another great conversation with you. I'll put up the link and everything so y'all can click on it and see me there. But in the meantime, love and appreciate every last one of y'all. Peace.